Don't forget to stick around through the end of the video for information on our Arrive Serpentor Arrive giveaway. What started out with a retired Jedi making a living on a desert planet. Now, I can't say honest living because I'm pretty sure he stole some meat off of his employer. It turned into a mad chase across the galaxy to find a kidnapped princess, fleeing inquisitors of the Empire, and perhaps the most threatening, being pursued by who or what was his former apprentice, Darth Vader. In the Disney Plus series Obi-Wan Kenobi, fans get even more time to get to know the mysterious old man from A New Hope and the events that all led up to the moment he began to reveal to Luke Skywalker who Luke really was. But this was no ordinary path, nor was it in solitary as the beginning of the series might suggest. Instead, the solitude is quickly interrupted by a distressed Bail Organa pleading with Kenobi, who has all but lost his connection with the Force, to help find his kidnapped daughter, Princess Leia. Even at 10 years old, he was already her only hope for help. Kenobi reluctantly agreed to help, struggling with his abandoning his duty to watch over young Luke, his lack of connection with the Force, and subsequent lack of confidence in his remaining ability. And so we are off on a glorious adventure that, with every twist and turn, are again reminded of the joy and heart of what is the Star Wars universe. And Kenobi is reminded of the joy and struggles of being out in a galaxy that cannot embrace the Jedi, a galaxy under empirical tyranny, a galaxy where he is pursued because of the mere thought that he survived Order 66 10 years prior. With this persecution comes the need to be cautious and blend in. As we see, when Kenobi makes his way to Tibidon Station, he has a slight wardrobe change to better fit in with the blue hues around, and of course, this paved the way for another alternate version of the character we love, the figure we can't get enough of. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collection. Remember, I'll be posting new videos at least twice a week, if not more. If that sounds of interest to you and you haven't already done so, please click that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes, and it truly does help out the channel and honestly means a lot to me. In this episode, we are taking a closer look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Ben Kenobi Tibidon Station version. Hello everyone and welcome back, and here we have it, the Ben Kenobi in the Tibidon Station costume, or a little bit of variation. But you may be asking, why is it in a plastic bag? And that's an excellent question. It's because I wanted to show this. It came from Target, obviously, and I just wanted to show that I did have optimism because I saw the bag and I saw that good old Target label. But would you look at that? Thanks, Target. That's a real missed opportunity right there. You took the time to put it in a bag, but you put it in the bag after applying that stinking barcode label. So I thought we had maybe a victory, that they were recognizing that it's not something that people want to see. But anyway, let's take a closer look at this. So here on the back, we got a lovely drawing representation of the Ewan McGregor / Obi-Wan Kenobi, looking very dashing with his hair. It's pretty good. I wish I could pull off hair like that. But just a little bit of information about what's going on, set in the years after the Revenge of the Sith, and after he goes into hiding, thinking that he might be gone. And then, of course, on the side, the same typical thing that we see here. And then there is a larger representation of that drawing with him back there riding the, I can only call it a camel. I didn't actually learn the name of the animal. I wish I had, but, quite clearly a camel underneath. And this one, surprisingly, still has the plastic on the front. I was very surprised to see that, with it being for Obi-Wan, but, clearly I guess they had it designed and ready to go early on. And I like the color palette of the Obi-Wan show for these Black Series figures, like a nice blue shade with almost a hint of purple. It's nice. It's lovely. Okay, but yeah, so there's our Target label, and I mean, yes, they do peel off pretty easily, but I'm going to take every opportunity that I can to say, Target, cut it out. See, that one is not pulling off as easily as some have, so there we go. I'm just going to re-emphasize, Target, cut it out. Even Amazon doesn't do that stuff. Yeah, I said it. Amazon didn't do it. Okay, so we've got it open. I'm going to bust into the bottom here, and let's get this guy out without further ado. There's our pamphlet. I can already see it. We got an empty box, so we will move that out of the way. We'll pull off this top piece of plastic that we always see. One piece of plastic that gets avoided. There's our pamphlet. Move that to the collection, and underneath we have yet another piece of plastic. One can only assume to protect the soft goods cape that he has there. But let's start removing stuff. We got our little backpack. We got a little baby blaster there. And of course we have to have Obi-Wan's lightsaber, right? So there we go. Or Ben Kenobi, whatever you want to call him. So we pull him out, and he comes out very easily, even though the cape was tucked back there because, yes, it is soft goods. Cloak, cape, whatever you want to refer to it as. Okay, we'll set him to the side for just a moment. I am very excited to get into that one because it's a great-looking figure. Comes with this little backpack, right? It looks like it should open. Does it open? Yeah, I think so. It looks like that little... You know what? I'm going to be the one to take the hit just so that everybody will know. Okay, yep. So it does have the little pegs that stick in to help close it. So something can go in there. Nothing comes with it that does go in there. You know, maybe you can tuck a blaster in there, or who knows, get yourself a Grogu and spread that out and put it in there. Let's just get all crazy with the timeline. What do you say? So there we go. I mean, obviously Grogu would be around, and he would look very similar, I would assume, because, you know, the way that they age. But there we go. I mean, it's a neat little backpack. No paint on it, completely cast in the softer rubber plastic, you know, so that it has the flex capability. It's nice. Just a nice little accessory that goes with it. Something that could have used, now I'm going to say it, a little bit of a wash, a little bit of a dry brush for some detail, but I can't be upset with the way that the leathery look is sculpted into it. It certainly has that and even the shine that happens, the uneven texture, I should say, or uneven finish with the cast plastic, probably from, like I said, mold release. It does add to that leathery look, right? Because leather always, you know, casts light in different ways depending on how it's buckled and whatnot. But yeah, so very cool. It's a short story of that. Let's take a look at this little blaster. I like the colors of it, right? So let's see if we can... Okay, we're going to switch to manual for that one. It's too small. So there we go. Yeah, look at that. It is so small. But I do love the colors of it, right? So it's got that kind of a bronze paint job on this little plastic blaster, which helps show some of the detail as usual. You know, we're not just dealing with a regular old black piece of plastic. And then we've got the handle itself. The grip is it's got some black in there, but it also looks like the bronze still goes around the edges, and it's the little panels like we see in, you know, a lot of handguns. It could just be my eyes playing with me. It could just be an error in the paint, but it gives the impression that that is happening. Whether it is or isn't, you know, and when I look at it at different angles, some tell me that it is, and some tell me that it's not. As you see, that looks like it is, that looks like it's not. So it's neat, right? It plays with the eyes. But cool blaster, lots of little details, especially on such a tiny little weapon. Could there have been something in there to further enhance it? Yes, but I'm not going to be picky because I think that was really well done. And because of the detail that I see on this already, just from pulling it out of the package and seeing it sitting over the side. Look at this, right? Does this come out? Yes, it does. Okay, typical lightsaber piece, right? The clearish, translucent blue plastic that's softer. But this looks great, right? So, you know, some of the paint, I can see some issues, like some of the black showing through from it being in this cast black plastic. But it's great to see that orangish, copperish color right there shining through, and it looks to be pretty well painted on there. You know, I don't really see anything shining through it. It seems to have pretty good layers on it, and then we've got like a darker grayish, blackish going here, and then the handle. I think this definitely is that little bit of extra level of detail that we like to see on some of the smaller weapons. By we, I'm saying me. I can't speak for everyone else, but I do like it, even if there is a little bit of black showing through some of the silver here. But that is very well done. All right, so let's move on to the man himself. That's going to put us back to automatic focus. So there he is. I mean, just all in all, first impressions, good looking figure, right? I think it's good. It's an excellent, a pretty good likeness, I'll say. You can definitely tell who it's supposed to be. Almost has, there's a little bit of a difference to the face than Ewan McGregor's, but it still gets the point across. There's something like in this area, I think, that's kind of missing, and maybe the eyes might be a little small. But let's get a closer look at the head itself to see how the detail of the paint and everything comes through. And I think it looks pretty good, right? So we've got this orangish brown for the beard that is a main overlay, which unfortunately bled into the face just a little bit, as you can see right there. But, you know, it's kind of acceptable because from a distance, it gives that idea, right? So the beard does thin out. Naturally, it would thin out a little bit as it gets closer to the face, even if it is trimmed very cleanly. But then we've got the darker brown on here that just adds a little bit of color depth and definition to it, and there's a little bit darker up here. So I like it. And the hair has a little bit of that wash going on too. See, it's got matching colors and then a little bit of a darker brown in between some of these little pieces. And it almost seems like there might be a third shade in there in some random places. But either way, hair sculpt good. I'm going to say paint good. The eyes, very well done, right? It's all a very clean job on this head. The only thing that I see that stands out is where it bleeds over into the face just a little bit with the brown. But as I mentioned, not a terrible thing. So let's see how it moves. All right, first, let's look up under here. Oh, comes right off. That's very convenient. Okay, so I like that. All right, so the neck is separate from the torso, so that will probably give us a little bit extra flexibility, and also stands very tall, I'm guessing, to make room for this. It doesn't look like it's overly tall, but I can automatically tell that the flesh tone painted on here to the cast plastic torso is a bit off from the neck, as you can see, and subsequently from the head. The neck and the head match pretty well because they are the cast plastic, but then the paint does not match very well, and that is the same that they used on the hands. So there's that. All right, so back to the side to side. The head itself does really well. Look at that. Yeah, I mean, it kind of works perfectly almost, because the hair will shift a little bit, it seems, to make way, and otherwise the neck goes right in this little valley right there, that little V. The neck will help some because it does travel side to side if you want it to. Up and down. It seems like a lot of it is being done by the neck. Yeah, the head will move up and down, and it is above, looking straight forward to the stars, if you will. And then down is a pretty good down, right? So almost chin to chest on that one. So definitely looks very forlorn or sad. Mrs. Luke. Okay, but there we've got our nice Exorcist double rotation going on there, so very good. Let's check out the arms. So arm flexibility, we do not have a butterfly joint in there, and the flexibility is not gonna look, it's not looking very positive. So I'm assuming that this is probably a bit of reuse, because there's not a whole lot of new technology in here that they've been using for some of these joints. It does have a good free moving shoulder joint, but we do not have the bicep tricep rotation there. Elbow rotation does happen, but it does this, right? So we do have extra rotation, but it does a very, very strange thing right there that, depending on the pose, could look very odd. But with that, we've got the elbow does bend fairly well for being a single. It's just such an odd choice to design it this way, with that sculpt being such a part, that line being in there. Anyway, like I said, probably a reuse, which is why we're seeing that. But you know, all in all, the flexibility is not terrible. It just is a bit awkward. And then we've got wrist rotation, and the movement for this one. Let's see if we can see. Obviously, it's going to be a bit hindered because the sleeve comes down pretty far beyond the wrist. So whether it was, and it seems like it is an up and down just by looking at it, but it doesn't have the full range of motion. This is straightforward, so it doesn't go upwards too much, but it will go down a good bit. That sleeve is a bit of a hindrance, although it is a very cool looking costume. And this is a rubbery blue overlay over this torso, which looks, from looking in here, like it's at least mostly painted flesh tone. You see that up underneath? So that's very interesting. Anyway, the other arm has the same functionality and the same limitation. It does seem like it is also an up and down, and this one is a trigger finger, where this one is a grip. Mid torso we do not have, so that lower rib cage area does not have a flex to it, but we do have waist rotation at the hips. And the good thing here, you know, this is that cast rubberized plastic. Granted, this is painted brown and clearly painted very well over some more cast rubberized plastic. So it does have a little bit of rub, but let's see if we can see up underneath that. Oh, it is, you know, there's brown up underneath there as well. Very interesting. So there is, you know, maybe a little bit of a potential of rub, and maybe some coloration from the brown could end up here in that lower part. But hopefully not a big problem. I almost feel like I'm convincing myself that there's already a little bit right there. I could be wrong. A little bit of discoloration. Hopefully not. Hopefully it won't ever be an issue for anyone, especially just setting up some poses. But this is, again, that rubbery plastic up underneath. Decent flexibility, right? And this would move out of the way if it had to. But again, the leg tucks into that V, much like the neck did with the hair. Forward also pretty good, right? Because that is very flexible, rubbery plastic. And it doesn't really seem like it's putting it through too much of a stress. I don't really see any whitening or anything like that. And even going back is pretty good. And it doesn't have to kick it out too far to the side. We do have thigh rotation up in the upper thigh underneath the lower part of this shirt. The knee, very similar to the elbows, right? Very seemingly archaic joint. But I gotta say, we sacrifice flexibility, but it does look a little bit more normal, right? So we don't have that weird separation, that flat part, long flat part across the knee. But I mean, he can still limber up a little bit. So there we go. He can reach the tip of the toes. We'll bring that back down. We do not have calf rotation in, but we do have a good foot forward and backward. And as we can see by this one, you can break that ankle. So there we go. It does pop over to the side very well. So same mobility on the other side, obviously. And then we kind of got a chance to look at paint apps as we went along because there's not a lot of paint applied to it. On the hands, we do have some flesh tone painted over this black. And, you know, a couple little areas where it's not perfect, but it is thickly applied. So I don't really see the black bleeding through. Just some of the edges, the lines aren't necessarily 100% perfect. Not a bad thing. I'll take it for it being a thick application. And then here the brown on this is very well done. And then you can see, this actually might not be paint. It almost seems like it's plastic bonded to plastic. Maybe that's what they're doing. Yeah, because it doesn't really look like there's paint overlay. There's a little bit of something right there, maybe where some of the plastic bonded. But you see up under there, it doesn't necessarily look like it's paint. It looks like it's where the plastics are bonded together. So that does help with the underneath, and that explains why it goes through and all the way around, because it seems like they might have done some bonding there. Anyway, I could be way off base, and if I am, I hope somebody is happy to correct me. But you know what? I might have had my answer right here. Yeah, I think it is still painted because there's a little bit of blue showing through on that strap right there. I was getting excited and hoping the technology was coming a long way. But the paint does look good regardless. I think they did a good job, even if underneath there's a little bit of an opportunity. But with everything else going on, it kind of masks it. There is that little bit of brown there, and then there's some silver for this buckle and those two little rivets. So it looks good. I think all in all, pretty good figure, right? So even down here, the paint, the little bit that we've got here on the cast brown looks good. And then the cloth goods piece, I mean, so it's basically just a strip of brown non-stretchy fabric that is sewn together in some places to make it work like a cloak. But you know what? I'll say, gosh, if it doesn't work for me. You know, it is a cloak. He did wear it, and it is cloth goods, so I am game. I'm also game for me figuring out how to put it back on where it's not completely covering his face. But yeah, so there we go. That's very cool. There's just something about it, right? The one thing that I always say when there is cloth goods included, first off is a big thank you for it being included, but then also it would never hurt to have a little bit of a wire in there, right? So you can have those dramatic poses going on. And then we've got the spot where the old lightsaber can go in there, and it tucks in that little V. And then, of course, another favorite thing of mine is when we just have the ability of attaching and removing weapons. Boom, there we go. So it does go in there. And will this close? That is always a very good question. And yep. Yeah, for the most part, it does go in there. So there we go. That is old Obi-Wan. Let's see how he stands on his own in his Tibidon station gear. So there we go. And he stands pretty well without very much convincing. And we'll be right back with some 360s. And here is our, from the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series, the Ben Kenobi Tibidon station disguise. Reluctantly using that lightsaber for battle, right? So fantastic figure, absolutely. Not really many issues that stood out or anything like that that really made me question having it. I think it's fun to have an Obi-Wan that's wearing blue like that, and he's got the soft goods cape. Could have used a wire, but otherwise I really can't complain about that because it's just a solid figure. If you're thinking about getting it, I do see it regularly in Target. I saw it this evening actually on shelves, so definitely pick it up. It's a great add, I think, to any collection. So there we go. I hope you have enjoyed this closer look. Thanks. Hey everyone, we are currently running our Arrive Serpentor Arrive giveaway where we are giving away one Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Serpentor with Air Chariot. All you have to do is comment on this video to be entered to win. Each video during the giveaway period will have a secret keyword shared within the video, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Because the first person to comment that keyword gets pinned to the top of the comments and gets 2 entries for that video. A special thank you goes out to all of you for making it possible for us to be able to already start giving back. Well, that about does it. Thank you for checking us out and for joining us on this collecting journey as always. Look for at least 2 new videos each week, if not more. And if you got something from today's episode and haven't already done so, please subscribe and click that like button. And if you'd like to see some more videos, there are a couple of quick links on your screen right now for you to check out. But no matter what, as always, thanks for taking the time, and remember, we are all in this world of collecting together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.